Hey Z, thanks for doing this.
Good morning.
How you doing? Are you back in Boston now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Did you drive back? And are you? Will you have to be under quarantine for 14 days, or what is your understanding there?
No, yes, we drove back. Obviously, the safety is the first. We didn't want to take any risk flying back. No, we still in. I think the same. Region, if you want to consider the United States and the East Coast. So no, I'm not self-quarantining. We did all the mandatory safety, safety precaution actions while we were down in Florida. Same apply here in Boston. So we're just following the orders and keeping everything as everybody else.
Okay. And it's been 2.5 months since the lockdown has happened. Is this the longest you've gone without skating? And I mean, what's the feeling about getting back on the ice? Is there any anxiety, excitement? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, this is probably the longest. Even I can't be 100% sure, but I probably, around 2 months, 2.5 months. That's something that has been maybe done before that the season ended probably, sometime in April or early May in my career with the New York Islanders. And if I did not play the World Championships, that might have been the kind of similar situation as it is now. I mean, it's nice that we kind of moving forward and, I think that there's still some work to be done, and there's a process of getting other pieces in place. But as of right now, it's nice that things are moving forward.
Okay. Thanks, Z. We'll go next to Dan Roach. Dan, go on ahead. Your line's unmuted.
Hey, Z. How you doing?
Good morning.
Just a thought on kind of following up what Steve said is that you are taking the steps to get back. How nice is that as a team? Kind of what do you see your role as captain in helping in any way possible, voluntary workouts and everything else, and taking care of safety issues? But also the fact that what did you think when they introduced the round robin format that you guys may have to face in order to get a 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed going forward?
I think that to answer the first part of the question, I think that all of us, trying to do our best to stay in shape and being active and following, obviously, the routines that we've been presented by our strength and conditioning coaches, which they done an amazing job for us. I think that because of the, different locations and different opportunities that each and every one of us have, we have to obviously accommodate and kind of adjust to different maybe equipment or different sites. But I think everybody's doing a good job staying fit, and it'll be nice to kind of get back together even in a smaller groups and kind of interact with guys after such a long time. And as far as the format, I think that the Players Association with the players representatives worked extremely hard to get to this point and come up with something that hopefully will be entertaining and exciting, and obviously fans will enjoy it, I'm sure. But I think that it's never a perfect scenario. It's not gonna be set in a stone as you would have after 82 game regular season. So I think that you have to give these guys a lot of credit because they work extremely hard to come up with a format that has been presented.
See, we'll go next to Matt Porter. Go on ahead, Matt.
Morning, Zdeno.
Good morning.
I'm curious how you think this is going to look as far as getting back on the ice once you're able to do so. Do you feel like you'll be going slow at first as far as how much work you're going to be doing on the ice? How careful are you going to be to guard against injury, given that you've been off so long?
Well, I think that just like with anything, if you a runner and you haven't been running for 2 months, I don't think you're gonna go for first run and it's gonna be 20K run. I think it's gonna be again slowly getting into it. I think that like you said, prevention of the possible some sort of strains or pulled or injuries. That's a key. I think that we have to manage the workload we're gonna be doing first few sessions, and then just slowly adding to those practices. And I think that even we've been away for 2+ months. I think it's just at the same time we'll come back fairly quickly. I think we've done this for so long, for so many years. It's just a kind of second nature to us. So I think it will take few days, maybe weeks, but eventually everything will be fine.
Go next to Joe McDonald. Go on ahead, Joe.
Hey, Z, thanks for doing this.
No problem. Good morning.
Good morning. When the entire team is back and you have that first meeting, what's your message going to be to your teammates?
Well, we've been connected through different media or different channels. So we talked quite often and regularly. So it's not just kind of like we're gonna see each other or hear from each other all of a sudden after maybe possibly at that point 3 months. So we going over a few things. We are in touch, and I think at that point we're gonna be going through those smaller groups, maybe bigger groups, and then a team training camp. So at that point, I think we're gonna be well aware of the situation, and at that point, I think we all know what the goal is. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Thanks, Z.
No problem.
We'll go next to Mike Loftus. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Zdeno. Hope you had a good ride back.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
I wanted to go back a little bit to the format and the round robin. It sounds like you're very appreciative of all the work that went into coming up with the format, but the round robin could put your team at a little bit of a disadvantage after all you accomplished during the regular season. Was there any resistance on the part of your teammates or disappointment expressed about that?
Well, I think that we heard about the possible formats, different options, and etc. I think that like I said, it's not gonna be perfect. I think that you have to realize that anytime you have this kind of unexpected stoppage, with teams being on different points of their maybe peaks of the season, and obviously different amount of games, you have to come up with some sort of a solution. And like I said, people involved were almost daily talking to the player reps, players, different kind of advisors to come up with the best possible solution. And it's I think at this point what we see, it's probably the best that it does affect everyone and every team, but it's one of those things that you can't really blame anyone or feel that it's unfair. I think that for us, I think that we have to be grateful for the opportunity we're getting. When you kind of look at in a real life perspective, what other people's families, businesses go through, it's one of those things that we're getting the opportunity to basically start almost where we kind of end the season, and not everybody is getting the same chance. A lot of people lost a lot of financial supports. Businesses went down, and they will never get the same opportunity. So we have to be grateful for the opportunity, and take it as a huge motivation and excitement, and be grateful, like I said, and be kind of embrace it.
Well said, Z. We'll go next to James Murphy. Go ahead, James.
Hey, Z. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good to talk to you. Hey, listen, I know a couple of weeks ago, Mitch Marner was, I don't know what he was on. It was like Twitch or something, but he said, he's asking about if someone gets sick when you guys go back and play, and God forbid somebody dies. Has that been talked about a lot amongst you guys, amongst your team? What might happen if somebody gets sick? Has there been some concern about that?
Well, I think these are the questions that needs to still be kind of processed, and I think that I think after maybe this kind of approval of format, there is gonna be, I'm sure, other steps that needs to be kind of go over, and I'm sure this is one of those things that all the people have to be aware of, that the safety and health of the players, staff, coaches, and all the people around working at this needs to be kind of taken care of. So I'm sure that these are the questions that will come up and have to be answered.
Take this moment to remind media, if you no longer have a question, go ahead and put your hand down. We'll go next to Fluto Shinzawa. Go ahead, Fluto.
Hi, good morning, Zdeno. I have a question about maybe the last couple months for you. What has come to mind, if there's been anything that you think about? Maybe it's not hockey, maybe it's about your family. You mentioned other businesses and workers. Is there something that this last couple of months has made you think about, maybe worry about, just big picture stuff that this has made you think about?
I mean, definitely you appreciate what you have. When you kind of look at the big picture, obviously we talked about how this becomes very uncomfortable for many of us, and it's been affected. This affected so many people. But I think that I'm so like I've been saying, I'm so grateful that I have family, and I've been able to spend some time with them and every day kind of play with my kids and see them interact and keep kind of improving in their skills and kind of when you have a kind of setback like this, you want to kind of also step back and kind of take a breather from the days or the routine you were involved for so long. So kind of makes you realize that things are not always going to be perfect. There's going to be some challenges in your life, and you just got to kind of remind yourself what kind of worked before when you were facing some challenges and adversities, and kind of start implementing those same routines into comebacks like we're facing now. So, but mostly I'm very grateful and thankful that I've been able to have health with my family and spend some time with them.
Thanks, C. We'll go next to Kevin DuPont. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, Z. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
My question is very much like Fluto's, but maybe if I could winnow it down a little bit here in terms of risk assessment. So in a room, you've got teammates who are 19 and 20 years old, and they're single. You're at the far end in terms of age, and you've got family, young kids. So if you could you share with us what sort of discussion you and your wife have had about the risk assessment here of going back and health? Because you're not just representing you as the player and a teammate, but you going home and the risk of bringing something home from this.
There is definitely a risk involved. I think we all have to kind of realize that, I think that you have to accept risks in your lives, and I'm sure even without this pandemic, you every time you step on the ice, there is a risk of getting injured or some sort of things can happen. But obviously, this is a little bit different. This is something that kind of hit us really hard, and nobody still don't know 100% or can guarantee that nothing will happen. But yeah, there is gonna be risk involved. We just gotta kind of manage what kind of risk we are willing to accept.
Time for a couple more. We'll go next to Emily Benjamin. Oops.
Sorry about that.
All right, we got you. Go ahead, Emily.
Cam was talking about yesterday how the leadership group is going to be especially important in sort of navigating through this. And I just wanted to see, what you think or how you think you might be able to do that, and what maybe your past experience can maybe help you guys in sort of this completely unique situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a situations that in the past, after such a long break, you still have enough time, and everybody knows the process. You go through the kind of seeing each other, for a few weeks. Then the training camp starts. You go through exhibition games, and you go through the phase of kind of between the end of the exhibition games and start of the season, and you have pretty much enough time to kind of get the guys ready and everybody on. And as the pre-season goes, the intensity and the mindsets are kind of dialing in, and we're facing the same amount of kind of the length between maybe end of the season and beginning of the season, but definitely the time where we were supposed to get ready is much shorter. So we have to kind of speed dial this and kind of implement these opportunities and the excitement into our preparation right from the get-go. There's going to be definitely things that we need to talk about and address and make sure that we are on the same page. So it's going to be one of those things that sooner we do it, the better for us.
We're next to Mick Calagio. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Zeke. Emily kind of went where I was going to go, Chris, because, you're one of the all-time greats when it comes to not mentally struggling with less than ideal conditions. You just play and say, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And so going back to the fast start you had at the beginning of the season, is it possible to bottle and remember what you guys did that contributed to that and how well you started?
Yeah, I think that was obviously a fact. I think we felt that towards the way we ended the last year, we were still kind of in that motion or we were kind of we were not sitting obviously at home or kind of being away from hockey as long as other teams, and we started to playing with that same almost same pace as we were playing in the playoffs. So that definitely helped us, especially early on, playing against teams that were off for a number of months. I think that that play a big role for us to play with a much higher pace, but also we play with a lot of motivation because the way we ended last year, and we took it as a something that we want to address early on, that it's not going to be affecting us this season, and we want to kind of have a fresh start and a new start and play with a lot of energy. So that's what we did, and you're right. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to be facing some possible uncomfortable situations. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but we have to kind of reset and rehearsal maybe a few of these things in our minds and get ready mentally for whatever's going to be coming, and we have to face it, and whoever's going to make the fastest adjustment and mentally be ready is going to probably benefit the most.
Thank you. So our final question is going to come from Mike Petralia. Go on ahead, Mike.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. Good morning, Z, and thanks for doing this. Hope you and your family are
Good morning.
staying safe. Well, I guess along the lines of the last two questions, Emily and Mick, I wanted to ask you about the Stanley Cup playoffs are such a different season, and you've been through them countless times, many, many times. How do you think you and your teammates, especially the veterans on the team, like Patrice and David Krejci and others, even Brad Marchand, are going to help younger players acclimate to Stanley Cup playoff conditions when there are no fans in the building?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. I think that most of us feel that's going to be one of the biggest adjustments we're going to have to make, because fans are such a big part of our game, and we all enjoy playing in front of sold out arenas and feeling their support, and when the crowds gets behind you, you kind of feel the extra energy, and you have that motivation to play for them, I think that's one thing that we're gonna be missing the most, and we're gonna have to make probably the biggest adjustment. It's one of those things that it's gonna be probably quite silent, and you're gonna be probably be able to hear everybody's talking on the ice, which could be also advantage. But at the same time, there are points in the game where the crowds gets going, and they kind of get loud, but that won't be the issue. So I think the same thing as it's gonna be one of those if you play neutral site. So you can't really say that you are playing home or away. It's gonna be completely the same for everybody else. So that's one thing we're gonna have to definitely get used to.